Hey everyone, this is Grakus GG again. This video that you're going to be watching is going to be an in-depth guide for archaeology and farming all the achievements in archaeology. This has been archaeology has been one of the last types of achievements that I've been working on. You can actually look at my achievement points for my account. I'm pretty high up there, but if you look into my professions, archaeology is one of the ones that I still have a lot of things to get. So I've done my research. I've looked around to try to make this grind as short as possible. And I've got some tips that you can use in order to also make the archaeology farming as fast as you possibly can make it. So I'll go down through a list of tips. You're going to hear about some add-ons. You're going to hear about tokens and how to use those. And then even small things like how to properly keybind things so that you can just be surveying through the dig sites a lot faster. And then also there is some advantages to specific class or specific races when it comes to archaeology as well, and I'll talk about that. So the first thing I'd like to talk about are the add-ons. And of course, one of the ones I'll be talking about is Archie, which is the one that you see on the right-hand side of my screen right now. But one of the others that you might not know of is Auto Loot Plus. What this does is, even though in your settings you can have auto loot hit, and every time you right-click a body you'll be able to loot it. What Auto Loot Plus does is it drastically reduces the time that it takes for you to loot something. So when you kill something and you have auto loot on without the add-on, it'll make a little window and it'll take maybe a second to loot the body. With Auto Loot Plus, when you loot the body, the window doesn't even pop up. Or it does for a split fraction of a hair second. The window pops up, you automatically get the loot, and it closes almost immediately. So it actually reduces the amount of time that it takes for you to loot fragments when you're doing archaeology. And when you think about it, if you can save yourself 1 second on fragments every time you loot a fragment, you're talking about thousands and thousands of seconds that you're saving throughout your working through your achievements. And just think, every 3,600 seconds that you cut in your quest towards full achievements in archaeology is a full hour that you're saving yourself. Alright, so first add-on, Auto Loot Plus. The other add-on that I want to mention is an auctionator, or an auction add-on. And what that will do is it will allow you to search and buy archaeology fragments in a very, very fast manner. And so you'll see some extra tabs down here, and if I click buy, you'll see some of my recent searches, but you'll actually see some shopping lists. And I have a shopping list called Archie, right? And in Archie, I've included the fragments that I still need to complete those rares in those categories. Once you make your shopping list, all you have to do is click that, and it scans the entire auction house for each one of those types of fragments, right? So instead of doing a single search and then trying to buy those up rapidly, you can see that it searched each one of these and it'll show me the price of those items as well. I tend to buy anything that's below 50 gold, because buying a fragment saves you somewhere between 15 and 20 fragments of you having to go out there and survey. Every one of those you buy saves you 20 archaeology fragments. That's usually 3 surveys. So 3 surveys you don't have to do because you have the fragments. So that's that. Back to the add-ons. The last add-on that I want to mention that is just tremendously useful is called Archie. You can find this on every add-on website there is. And what it does, and I'm going to move these over a little bit. If you use TomTom, it'll put waypoints in the nearest dig sites and give you a little arrow so that you can fly over there, right? So if you see that little arrow, that's what that's for. It's pointing me to the nearest dig site. So that's useful. And then it tells me how long it takes before I get there. So that's useful and quick. The other items that save you a lot of time are the windows. So the first window you'll see is right now I'm in Warlords of Draenor, so I'm in Draenor, and you'll see every single dig site that's up in Draenor, and it'll show you which dig site it is. In my case, every single one of these are Ogre dig sites, and you can see them on my map here. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It tells you what zone it is. It also tells you how far away you are from that specific area. All right. The last window that you see is down below, and it shows you your overall skill in archaeology, whatever. But then it shows you your fragments in that zone. So for Draenor, I can do Ogre, I can do Draenor clans, or I can do Arakoa. All right. Now here's the thing that saves you guys time. Instead of having to open up professions and open up archaeology, or even by having this on your toolbar somewhere and clicking archaeology, and then finding the one you want and then clicking that. So let me go back. Like Draenor clans. Okay, here's a thing, and then I click this and I click solve. What this does is it's very lightweight and it's off to the side, and it automatically has that open. So you never have to open up those windows or dialog boxes. You can just come right here. It'll show you when you can solve that thing, and it'll also let you click on that little section right there to put in keystones. So, hey, Draenor clans, I can start solving some of those. Now just click this solve button. It says, hey, you solved this. Here's your next item. Again, put another keystone into it to, use less fragments. Hey, next one is the flask. Again, click my little fragment. Click solve on that one. War Singer drums. Hey, guess what? When I use my fragments, I can solve that one too. So I can just keep solving this the entire time until I run out of fragments, like now. And then, oh look, I have enough to do Arakoas, so I'm going to go ahead and solve those too. I don't have to change the dialogue. Oh, well, there you go. Look, Pristine Dreamcatcher, one of the things that I need. I don't have to change windows. I don't have to hunt for the next thing. It's all right there for me to use. The last thing I want to mention about Archie, and again, this is really nice too. Typically, you have to open up your bag. You got to find whatever artifact you just solved, and you right-click it to box it or something to that effect, right? Well, with Archie, you have 3 buttons up here. One is survey, so you can actually just click to survey. One is for archaeology-related items, such as using a box that only shows a certain dig site or pops up a certain dig site. But the middle box is saving you a ton of time. Instead of going through here and having to click these individually, all you do is just click this button, and it has this little ring around it when it's available. And it automatically boxes the artifact that's in your bag. And you just keep clicking it until you're done. And you can see these disappearing in my bag as I go through here. I don't have to click anything. I don't have to hunt through my bags. I just click this little button. And it goes through each and every artifact in my bags. And apparently I had a few because I've been doing this yesterday and today. And okay, now it's complete. There's nothing else for me to do. So it grays out and I don't use it. One more thing I'm going to cover is keybinds. Now, if you look at my screen, down at the bottom, you'll notice that I keybind everything. And my bar looks a little bit weird. Typically, I have all my skills and abilities. But I have like a secondary hotbar that I turn to. And you'll notice I use 2 things all the time. Number 1 is survey, and I have that bound to my mouse button, right? So for me to survey, I just go down to the area and I click the mouse button to survey. And then if I need to survey again, it's right there. You save time by clicking a mouse button instead of having to go over and press it, or go over and press it. Because mouse clicks and key bindings, there's a massive difference between these 2 things. Use a keybind for surveying. The second thing I'd say is also use a keybind for mounts. Alright? So in this case, when you mount up, If you use a keybind, again, you don't have to click here, and then click survey, and then click mount, and then click survey again. You can just simply use your keybind, right? And that goes directly into my next piece, where certain races and classes have a little bit of an advantage with archaeology. In this case, druids and dwarfs. And again, how many surveys are you going to do to get all these achievements? Thousands, right? So I'm literally saving myself hours. If you don't worry about getting achievements on your main, then doing archaeology on an alt class, specifically a druid or a dwarf, is not a bad way to go at all. The other thing I want to mention is there's actually an efficient method for going through all the races for archaeology. Okay? In Legion, where you have Broken Isles, archaeology is done on a 2-week rotation. So every 2 weeks, it's going to choose one of the zones, whether it's Val'sharah, Azuna, Suramar, Stormheim, High Mountain, whatever. And you're going to be able to only survey for those fragments of a specific type. You want to start with Legion. So during that 2-week window, you want to finish up all those pristine artifacts. And then you also want to, of course, finish that 2-week quest line that's there. You have to do that every 2 weeks. It doesn't change. So the best way to do it is you do Legion quests, the bi-weekly. It takes like a couple hours to do. And then the next thing you do is the the classic ones. So you go do things like Outland, Northrend, Easter Kingdom, Kalimdor. And the reason that this is effective is when you get all the rares in those BC or classic archaeology fragments, those dig sites for that specific race almost never come up anymore. So once you complete dwarf, very seldom will you see a dwarf dig site because you no longer need any rares for dwarf. So after you get through those and you get most of those, then you want to go to Draenor. You do Draenor, and again, you save all those artifact fragments and you turn those in to finish off those classic races. When you're done with Draenor, the last one you do is Pandaland. And the reason is, when you're in Pandaland, you want to focus on the Pandarian and Mogu achievement and rares. And the reason being is that there is an item that you can buy off Bran that is called the Manted Artifact Sonic Locator. What it does is when you right click it, every single dig site is a manted. So once you complete focusing on the Pandarian and Mogu ones, then you can just use the manted one and finish everything else, right? And then you start using those restored artifacts to finish up all those little last classic ones. I'm not there yet. I'm still doing the Draenor stuff. That's the entire series right there, guys. Once again, let's do a quick summary review. Add-ons. You want to use Auto Loot Plus. You want to use Archie. You want to use an auction add-on to look for tokens. Keybinds. Keybinds will save you seconds while you're surveying. Those seconds will add up to hours over the long term, right? You're saving yourself some hours on the end of your life. Using a druid or a dwarf alt to do archaeology is also a very smart thing to do. And then finally, the best route for you getting all your archaeology achievements starting from scratch, start with Legion, do the bi-weekly crap, then do Outland, Northrend, Eastern Kingdom, and Kalimdor until you have most of all the rares. And then at that point, you move over to Draenor and you start using those restored artifacts. You start using the restored artifacts to work on those last rare ones for the classic and BC type things. So that's the secret sauce, guys. That's going to save you hours, absolute hours. I wish you the best in your endeavors. I hope you get all the achievements. I wish you guys the best of luck. I hope I saved you guys a lot of time and you can use these tips to great effect in your own gameplay. If you like these sorts of videos, stay tuned to this channel. Like, comment, subscribe. I really appreciate it. And thank you guys for your time. Take care.